What if you woke up already worth billions, and you hadn't done a single thing to earn it? This is the Victor wealth, and your life never had ordinary as an option. You wake up worth 8 billion before breakfast, not because you built anything, but because 5 generations ago your family changed how money moves. Childhood training. At 7 years old, you sit in a room with 23 relatives discussing estates, holdings, and collections that require their own insurance divisions. You don't speak, you listen. By 12, you understand what most adults never learn. Wealth is about access, information, and timing, and money is just the instrument. Victor walks you through the wine cellar every summer, not to talk about the wine, but to teach you about the decades and what the family was doing inside them. Trust fund and allocation. At 21, you receive your first allocation, not control, but you can propose reallocation strategies to the family office, and they will execute them if your thesis holds. Your first proposal is rejected, and a 4-page memo arrives explaining why, and you read it 11 times. If you liked this story so far, hit that like button right now. And comment below. Would you trade freedom for a life like James Weller's? Subscribe so you never miss a story like this one. Eleanor doesn't have a job the way other people do. She runs a foundation with an endowment larger than most universities. Dinner conversations are never about school, always about regulatory changes, commodity flows, and why the family reduced exposure to certain equities 8 months before everyone else did. There is no rebellion phase available to you. Real Investment Committee. At 23, you attend your first Real Investment Committee meeting, 14 people in a Geneva conference room, and you are the youngest person in that building by 3 decades. The bet is never on the infrastructure itself. It's on the family's ability to shape the regulatory outcome through 30 years of relationship building in that region. The money follows the access, always. First real test. At 26, you spend 6 weeks across 3 countries reviewing warehouse operations and driver networks for a distressed logistics acquisition. You find what the initial screening missed. The largest contract, representing 38% of revenue, has not been paid in full for 14 months. You flag it, the deal is restructured, and the purchase price drops by 40 million, and 3 years later, the exit returns 2.1 times. The point is continuity. At 29, you review a portfolio spanning 4 continents and 43 entities. And the 6% growth that year represents more capital than most funds will ever raise. The person beside you on the flight back to London is building a financial model on her laptop, working hard on a deal that might return 3 times if everything goes right. You respect the effort, and you also understand that the decisions you make this quarter will shape your family's financial positioning for the next 15 years. The system and obligation. At 35, you stop asking what your life could have been. Not because the question resolved itself, but because the question was never really available to you. The Weller name is not a legacy you carry. It is a system you operate within, built over 2 centuries to convert capital into influence and influence back into capital. Most people will never understand this. They see the wealth and assume it is about luxury or freedom, but it is about one thing only: the obligation not to be the generation that breaks the chain. The deal closes. The portfolio compounds, the system continues, and you continue with it. Because that is what continuity requires.